So here we have a Norcold 302R refrigerator that I had in my trailer, or have in my trailer, and it's been about 3 years, and the fridge stopped working because the burner kept going out. And the problem is, inside here you have your burner unit for the fridge. So I've actually done this job twice before and ended up pulling this whole unit apart to get to changing this burner. So this time I thought I would do the video up so I remember that you don't have to take the whole thing apart. So the first thing that we need to do is take off this cover right here. 1/4 inch nut driver is going to do the trick for that. Just pop that out. And this needs to slide back and kind of up and out to get your igniter and your thermocouple wire off of there. Alright, so what we're after is we want to change this unit right here. The vents inside the burner are probably rusted up or clogged up and no longer working, can't burn properly, and in the past I've taken this all apart. There's a screw back in here that you need to get access to, and it's really difficult to get a screwdriver, right one, in back there to get at that. So what works best is if you've got this on a countertop, just move the fridge forward. After you've moved it forward, the easiest way to gain access to this screw back here is to first undo the propane line. I've already cracked the nut for this, so I'll be able to turn it off with my hand. Okay, unscrew the propane line. After you put the propane line on, you got to make sure you soap it and check for leaks. Okay, and then you're going to be able to get underneath. It's easiest to go from underneath and onto that screw right back in there. Okay, so I move things around and change the view on it so you can get a better view with the camera of what I'm accessing. Best thing to do is go in from underneath because it's over the edge of your countertop. Get the screw driver. You might have to bend the thermocouple wire a little bit to get access, and then you remove this screw. After you've removed it, make sure you check the threads on it to make sure you haven't stripped it at all, because if you stripped it, you definitely want to replace it with the new screw. And down she falls. Once you've done that, you can grab the burner and remove it backwards and get the screw. Check the head. The Phillip head is fine still. I've actually put a little bit of anti-seize on so I can get it out better next time. Alright, so I want to make sure you can see this fine. So as you can see, my burner here, the vents for the burner have become all plugged and rusted through. Why this isn't a stainless steel unit so that doesn't happen, I don't know. It's probably a money grab, so you got to keep taking it into the dealership every 3 years to get this replaced. I'm showing you how to do it yourself. Alright, so that's the old burner. Okay, so I got the new burner compared to the old burner, and definitely nice and clean. Hopefully this one lasts more than 3 years. I'm going to stick it back in from behind. Slide it forward. There's a slot for the end of the burner to go into that holds it in place. Grab your screw. I'm just going to hit it with just a little bit more anti-seize because I want to make sure that this thing comes out, because it can be really difficult to get out in another 3 or 4 years, because I know I'm going to have to redo this job again. Grabbing my screw. It's best to use a magnetic screw driver to hold that screw in place. There we go. Screw it into place. Just finger snug on that. Then we're going to replace our propane line. propane line upright. All right, hopefully that'll do the trick. Okay, so I'm going to connect up the gas line right here into the fitting that I prepped with a little bit of Teflon tape. I'm just going to be using a couple crescent wrenches for this. It should do it. Remember, you got to check the fittings after you've applied pressure to the gas to check for leaks. Alright, so I have some good soapy water here. They're made up just from some dish soap and some water. Make sure it's nice and sudsy. I've turned the propane tank on, applied pressure to here. So there is pressure at that point. I'm checking, inspecting that to see if there's any leaking. Good to get some nice bubbly soap all around it, wrapped right around that fitting, so that if it's leaking, you're going to see bubbles shooting up. There's no bubbles happening there. To test the other fitting that we did, we actually need to get the gas flowing. If the thermocouple right here, if the thermocouple wire isn't hot, it's not going to be allowing gas to flow unless somebody on the inside of the trailer is holding the button to allow gas flow when you're trying to ignite it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stove ignited, and then I will test for gas after that. Okay, so it took me a little while to get it started because there was air throughout the whole lines because everything was disconnected. It takes quite a little bit to get the gas flowing. So I'm just going to check that connection right now. Make sure there's no leaks. I'm not seeing any leaks. I was fairly confident there wouldn't be any leaks. I was pretty confident that there was not going to be any leak. I'm going to check all the connectors just to make sure that nothing came loose. And it's really, really good. Everything's really good. All right, so that's what you want to see is right there. That's a nice burn happening from the flame. It's got like a nice blue flame happening, thermocouples all heated up. And again, panning out. Connections, all the connections have been soaped really well. There's no leaks there. I came back and I double checked that connection there, and it's all good. Things you got to make sure that you check when you're taking it out is get your 12 volts disconnected before you pull the fridge out. Otherwise, those are going to pull and possibly damage the connectors there. And you got your 120 to undo as well.